Hey yo, what's good? Welcome to my Roberto Duran week. This is day 2 and my second video. Probably might be my last video of the day on the Roberto Duran week on day 2. Inspired by the fight, thefightcity.com. Right now I'll be talking about Roberto Duran versus Davey Moore, which happened 32 years ago this day in Madison Square Garden of New York City. It's funny because Davey Moore was from New York. He's from the Bronx. And most of the people, the 20,000 people that filled this stadium were going for Duran. They were Roberto Duran fans. They were cheering for Duran. So, but Davey Moore was the favorite into coming into this fight. Most experts were saying that Davey Moore was gonna win. Actually, Al Bernstein said that 9 out of 10 boxing scribes said that Duran was gonna lose, and this is due to the no mas fight, the tragic no mas fight, right? That haunted him. Also, his loss to Kirkland Lane and Wilfred Benitez in 1982, probably his worst year of his career. So he was coming off 6 fights from the no mas fight, but 2 of them has been losses. But that fight with Pepino Cuevas kind of reinvigorated his career a little bit. But he was still Davey Moore was still 5-2 favorite. So it was expected the younger man, the stronger man, more natural. He was a more naturally 154 pounder. Young, but he was much too inexperienced for Duran. He had 12 fights, 9 by knockout. So he won the title. I believe it was like in his 9th fight. Let me check. Luckily won. I think it was his 9th fight, but he was 4-time Golden Glove champion in New York City. This is according to ringtv.com. I'll put the article in the description, but very good article by Lee Groves on the Ring TV. So he was the favorite, and most people were picking him to win. They thought Duran was old, that he was washed up. But that's what veterans do. They come back. That's why we love Duran, because he came back. He won the world title in his 9th pro fight from Takashi Mihara, who was 15-0 in Japan. He knocked him out. So that was an upset in itself. But Duran came in, a man that was not going to lose this fight. And this is the real Duran. The Duran that loses to Kirkland Lane or to Wilfred Benitez or to Sugar Ray Leonard the second time. Those are Duran that's undertrained. You could see it. You could see that he doesn't fight with the intensity. Because sometimes Duran just after beating Leonard, he just wouldn't train. He wouldn't be motivated to train as much as he did before. Plus, he had all these weight issues and stuff. So let's get on talking about this fight, man. Brutal fight in round 1. Duran jabbed and it caught Davey Moore's eye. It thumbed Davey Moore's eye, and that caused a swell that was pretty shut. It shut his eye. Both of his eyes were kind of shut by the end of the fight, but it was just brutal. Davey Moore was more than game to fight, but Duran was just too much of a piece, man. Too much of a piece for this fighter that just won 12, who just had 12 fights, man. Beautiful display of boxing too, man. Body shots, you got combinations, you got straight rights, you got left hooks, you got uppercuts, You got Duran slipping, bobbing, and weaving punches. You know who Duran remind me of in this fight? A little bit, at least glimpses of James Toney. He would parade punches so well, like by twisting his head in the direction that the punch was gonna go. Davey Moore would not hit Duran clean. Yes, Duran was brutal. Yes, he was ruthless in this fight. But he displayed a beautiful defense. Even the shots that looked like they landed hard, Duran would twist his head the other direction so they would not land completely clean. Duran didn't get hit that clean, folks. He had a great defense. I think that's what helped with his longevity in the sports. You know, and also today he's well and healthy because he did not get hit that much, that cleanly. Davey Moore is a young guy, more than game, but he could not hit Roberto Duran. But Duran could hit him, man. Ruthless. He was chasing him down, banging the body throughout the fight, smothering his shots, parading his shots with his gloves or twisting his head so they wouldn't hit cleanly. Jabbing him. Beautiful display, man. Beautiful display. Duran's comeback fight, man. Being, I think it was 7th or 8th man to win 3 titles in 3 different divisions by one of his finest wins in his career. I know I say this about every fight, but it's true because Duran had like three careers, like 3 different careers where he came back because they're like, oh, Duran's done after the Nomas fight. And then, like, after he lost to Kirkland Lane, oh, Duran's done. And then I was watching this fight, and it was a replay. And then Al Bernstein's like, Duran, that was his last hurrah. Davey Moore was his last hurrah. Because he had lost to Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns. He had so many comebacks. And this was probably the most ruthless. By the end of the fight, Davey Moore's bloody nose, bloody lips, swollen eyes. Both of his eyes were swollen. His lips were swollen. That knockdown in round 7 it's just nasty. You gotta watch that. He hits him with the right hand, and then he hits him with the body shot, and then he misses a hard left hook. He misses it, but then he comes back, boom, hits him right. It wasn't like right on the chin. It wasn't right on the button. It was like in the mouth and his chin at the same time. Boom. But you just see a man that's been beaten up. A beaten man. Because that was a hard shot. He hits him. Bam. And you just see a man, a grown-ass man, falling by a better man. Boom. Just falls on his butt, man. And you just see Davey Moore with his lip. This image always sticks into me. His lips just stuck out, all swollen. Both of his eyes swollen, and he just looks up like, oh. That's how I feel about. He's just exhausted, but he gets up. He's like, ugh. He gets up. Roberto Duran lets the second slide. What's funny after this round is that Duran goes and sits in Davey Moore's corner, and then his trainer goes pick him up, takes him to his corner. But the 8th round, Duran was just landing hard shots to the body. Bam, bam, hooks to the head, jabbing to his head, straight rights. Everybody at ringside was like, stop the fight. Stop the fight. What are you doing? Because he was done. He had nothing left. Davey Moore had nothing left. I know he was the favorite and all. Maybe that's why the referee didn't want to stop it and he was a champion. But he was getting beaten up badly. You could clearly see it. His face was all swollen and bloody. You know, all he could do was hang onto Roberto Duran's neck, like trying to get him to stop throwing. But Duran wasn't gonna stop. Not that day. When the referee stopped him, there was a celebration, dude. Duran had came back from the depths. That's what made Duran's comeback so cool. Because he would fall so deep into the ocean. Like he'd fall to the bottom of the ocean. That was what that no mas loss did to him, man. Imagine a man who's known for his brutality and his manhood and quitting. But this erased that. That's why Duran's still a great fighter. Even though he quit in a fight, he's still a great fighter because he came back from that. He came back from that. There'd be a lot of things to criticize for Duran if he never came back, if he retired after that fight. Like, oh, he lost. He quit and then he retired. But he came back and he beat a young man that was favored against him, a 24-year-old man in the peak of his prime, right? In a brutal fight. It was a good fight too, because Davey, like I said, Davey Moore was game, but Duran was just too big of a piece, man. Alright, thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for Roberto Duran week. This might be my last video of the day for day 2, but stay tuned and don't forget to rate and subscribe. What are some Roberto Duran moments that you'd like me to talk about or that you remember? Just leave your comments. Peace.